You are listening to the FORSCOM Frontline, bringing you to our soldiers on the front lines of readiness.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the FORSCOM Frontline. I'm Jeannie, and I'm your host. And today I'm joined by Lieutenant General Chris Mohan from Army Materiel Command. He's the Deputy Commanding General, as well as the Acting Commanding General for now. And AMC Command Sergeant Major Jimmy Sellers. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to talk with me today, guys.
Well, hey, Jeannie, thanks again for this opportunity to talk about what we're doing for our partners over in FORSCOM and across the entire Army. And personally, it's great to see you again.
Yes.
We got a long history from a long time ago.
Yes.
Back at Fort Lewis, when it was Fort Lewis.
For my audience, I knew General Mohan when he was Lieutenant Colonel Mohan, and he was the battalion commander of 80th Ordnance Battalion, and I was his FRSA. We got through 3 different companies going through deployments to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kuwait all at the same time. So General Mohan and I have a long history. Plus, we're both North Carolina
That's right.
natives. He grew up probably,
North Carolinians.
15 minutes from where I did? Carthage, right?
Yeah, Carthage.
So, yeah.
We call it the big city of Carthage.
The big city of Carthage. So, yeah, Chris and I go way
Population
back.
1,500.
All right, so let's get into it, guys. From bullets to beans to bandages and everything in between, AMC develops and delivers material readiness solutions to ensure our Army is the greatest fighting force in the world. As the Army transforms, so does AMC. And you guys are tackling a variety of challenges, but there are some solutions coming soon that I think our soldiers are going to be super, super excited about. And the Chief of Staff of the Army has kind of charged you guys with enhancing the soldier experience. And I know one of the things that you guys are very passionate about is feeding the force and what we're doing with our food systems. Now, I've read some articles, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about what you're doing with AMC and feeding our soldiers. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I'll start and then I'll turn it over to the Command Sergeant Major. So several years ago, look, we haven't been doing this well, flat out. We've been so focused on our operations downrange that we let the muscle memory of feeding our soldiers in garrison kind of lapse. And along with that, we also realized that, and we heard from soldiers. Look, we heard from soldiers loud and clear. We also realized that in order to fundamentally change, we had to radically change. And so we embarked on a journey, and it's taken 3 years, Jeannie, 3 years. Wow. Because of all the different policy, the way that we do food service contracts, et cetera, et cetera. But we really looked at several different things. One, how do we look after the soldiers who are meal card holders? That's my primary focus. The second is how do we meet them where we are and acknowledge the fact that our soldiers' eating patterns have changed, and we need to change with them. And the third thing is that how do we take a comprehensive look at the whole system? And I'm going to focus on what we're doing from our campus style dining venue pilot program. So first of all, we took a look at and we benchmarked all across the United States different types of people that feed at scale, focusing on college campuses. You go to a college campus today, there's going to be a variety of dining facilities and options on the campus. Again, that campus style, as well as they are free from some of the regulatory and statutory issues that we're free from. And so we started knocking down targets one after another. Hey, how do we feed soldiers? Can we go and buy local produce? Do we have to use the same 21-day menu cycle, et cetera, all those things. Right. We also brought in some outside help. So Chef Robert Irvine
I
from
love
Restaurant
Robert.
Impossible.
He's amazing.
Look, he is a 100% heart for soldiers. And for no money, he has helped us take a look at ourselves. And he speaks bluntly.
Yeah, I've met him a few times.
Look at ourselves. Yeah. So what you see on TV is the way he speaks to me. Hey, General, you guys are dumb. You should be doing this. And so we've learned a lot. And fast forward 2 weeks ago, we awarded a contract to a company that is going to kick off our flagship dining facilities at 5 of our installations. The first one's Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Yes.
The home of the Army universe, as I like to say.
We are the center of the universe.
That's right. So what you're going to see at the Victory Dining Facility right around Christmas time or the first of the year is an entirely new type of way to feed soldiers. So you're going to walk in. It's going to have updated ambiance and decor packages. It's going to have Wi-Fi for soldiers. It's going to have a minimum of 5 different stations in the dining facility that will allow soldiers to pick from different varieties of foods. And in some cases, you're going to see the same thing every day. So we polled soldiers, thousands of soldiers across the Army. They said, hey, what's our favorite restaurant? We said, what's your favorite restaurant? Fast casual? They said Chipotle. And so why don't we have a burrito bar every day in our dining facilities? Because our policies prevented us from doing that. We're changing all that. And so what we're doing at scale with this one company is changing the way that we manage our dining facilities. So they have to have a professional chef in the dining facility. They have to have a nutritionist on staff that is authorized to make on-the-spot changes to recipes based upon what ingredients they have, et cetera. We're also using things like value-added products like commercial industry uses, like our kids are being fed when they're in college. And so we have radically changed the way that we do this, and we're really, really excited about it. So there's a couple things. One, you won't see any soldiers in the dining facility other than the ones that are eating, or maybe some of our 92 Golfs that are in their training, because we're going to unburden them so that they can go to the field and deploy with their units and refocus them on their combat mission, which is feeding our soldiers while we're deployed. The second piece is expanded meal hours. We're going to authorize the contractor to offer delivery service, meal prep services. And so we've thrown everything at this contract that we can, and we were going to open up 5 of them across FORSCOM installations. Okay. And we will do all of those between now and about this time this year. We'll take a step back. We'll study the data, see if this is meeting our soldiers' needs, and then we'll expand across the Army. But this is not everything. This is the dining facility, but we're doing other things as well. And I'll turn it over to Jimmy.
Well, before the Sergeant Major Sellers talk, so what are the other 4 installations? Because I'm sure everybody wants to know, right?
Yeah. So you tell them, because I'll mess it up.
So I kind of use the easier way of remembering this, right? I go up the East Coast and down the center of the map. So we start off at the center of the universe at Fort Bragg, and then we'll work our way up to Fort Drum, and then we'll come back down. Well, while we're down there, we're at also Fort Stewart, right? Okay. So that's 3, and then we got Fort Carson and then Fort Hood.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. And Fort Hood is where you guys actually did one of the pilot programs. Because I know Brigadier General Davis, he is our Deputy Chief of Staff for logistics here at FORSCOM. And he brought back some stuff, and he was kind of like an igniter with kind of getting this program across FORSCOM, from my understanding, correct?
He did.
Yeah, it's we're adding layers to it. So the first thing, and this one is that, look, senior commanders are responsible for feeding their soldiers. I'm a senior commander, have been a senior commander multiple times. We are responsible for feeding the soldiers. At AMC, our role is to provide them the necessary tools so that they can adequately do that. But we've seen some fantastic initiatives by commanders like Sean Bernabe at Fort Hood, and then that's where Sean Davis was commanding the 13th ESC. They stood up a thing called the Hub. If you want to go into that a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, so, I look at this, Jane, as kind of the installation is the campus, right? When you start talking about campus style dining, and this feedback that I personally receive from soldiers is that we want options. They want options to go outside of the dining facilities to do other things. So just think about, DECA, NAV, AFES, those types of venues. You got kiosks and food trucks also available to them. So when they can't, make it to a dining facility during the hours of operation, then they'll also have some other places they can kind of go use their meal entitlements and then get some healthy food options as well. So the pilot that you were referring to a little bit earlier, we were just, down at Fort Hood. We spent 2 weeks down there with 61st Quartermaster Battalion, And those 200 soldiers went through a pilot called the LUAT, Limited User Assessment Test. And what we're really trying to get after is trying to figure out, what were their eating habits? Where do they want to go to? And I would tell you that 9 times out of 10, they chose a healthy food option.
That's
Qdoba's and Subway were number 1 and 2 on their list. So we got some good feedback from that. We were able to put some stress on the system to see how it was going to work, see how the system actually connected to our CAC cards, and then was able to pull out meal entitlements and then charge the soldier appropriately. So, that, and then that initiative that they started out at Fort Hood by where they started a central hub. It was a couple different parts to it, right? To where the hub and spoke operation, they prepared the food inside the hub, did all the food preparation, and then pushed out to some of the other dining facilities and just used that as kind of a sit down, grab and go meal prep type of thing. And then on the back side of it, in certain facilities, they will also use what we call the Tactical Field Readiness Training Center. We've got 2 of them stood up right now. First one was at Hood. The second one was at Bragg. Then they're standing up another one at JBLM. That's going to help our soldiers get back that routine muscle memory that we kind of talked about, to where they know how to fight on the move and feed soldiers out there in battle.
I think this is fantastic. I think back, you talk about campus style dining. I think back to when I was in college in the 1900s, a long time ago. I was able to use my dining facility. We had, our dining facility, our DFAC, but then we also had, a Taco Bell, a Chick-fil-A, a deli. We had our little C-store, and you could use your student ID to go in there and purchase anything from anything that was on the campus. So this is exciting times for our soldiers to be able to have those options, especially to be able to go to the commissary, like you mentioned, DECA, to go to commissary to be able to buy fresh food. I just got back from a TDY, and one of the Marines that I was with, I was at a defense TDY, a defense school, and one of the Marines, she got tired of eating the breakfast that was provided by the hotel. I mean, it was the same thing every 3 days. It was the same thing, cheese omelet, eggs, bacon, whatever. And she started cooking her own stuff in her own room because it was so monotonous. You were eating the same thing over and over, or it wasn't what she wanted for what she was trying to do for her body, eating healthy. And so she was eating eggs and rice and things that are more healthy, because we have soldiers who are, I wouldn't say bodybuilding, but are trying to build muscle or lose weight or, try and do all these things. And you can't really do that if you're constricted to one space for eating. So this is exciting stuff. What has been some of the feedback you guys have received from the pilot program, from the soldiers who have participated in that? What has been their thoughts on it?
I would say that for the specific limited user test at Fort Hood, with the 200 soldiers from 61st Quartermaster Battalion, it was overwhelmingly positive, where they had the option to go out, and it's important to note that the meal items that they were authorized to use their CAT card to purchase at Cordoba Subway were preset, and it was like a combo, and chosen by a dietitian. And as the Command Sergeant Major said, they chose, and there was some unhealthy options on there. Okay, everybody gets a cheeseburger every once in a while,
right? I mean, they do have cake and stuff in the DFAC.
That's right.
So.
But that's exactly right. And so, and plus, we trust them to carry a weapon. We should trust them to eat a cheeseburger every once in a while, right?
I agree.
And so, but they overwhelmingly chose the popular or the more healthy food options. And so, imagine, again, that campus thing where you can go to a dining facility that is extended hours, multiple meal choices, grab and go at the dining facility, et cetera, and then, but also be able to go to selected AFES restaurants on post to use a portion of your meal entitlement. And then in the future, we will roll in, the commissary is already doing kiosks for us, but we see a future where we have places where there is cooking facilities and barracks, the ability for a soldier to go into the commissary and buy certain items in the commissary and then take it back to their barracks and cook it themselves. And in our flagship dining facility we're going to open in at Fort Bragg. Part of the concept is a teaching kitchen, where there is a place where you can like teach soldiers how to cook for themselves. That last piece with the commissary, we're still working through, because that's another regulatory and policy issue that we have to fight through. The commissary is 100% on board, but we're really excited about this, and the mandate that we have from the chief and the secretary, but more importantly our soldiers, is we have to do better, and we have to go fast to do better, and we're doing just that.
This is like super, super exciting stuff. And I know you were just talking about the commissaries and like they're on board with that and whatnot.
100%.
And I don't think I've told you. I want to ask this question because I know this is the Army that's doing this. Has any of the other branches like considered doing something similar?
Yeah, so we've had some interest from the Navy,
yes.
the Marine Corps, and the Air Force, particularly as we've had to go in for exemptions that at the Secretary of War level, and they've said, hey, this is a really good thing for the Army. Let's expand it and ask for this across the entire Department of War. And so we've had great support from our senior leaders. Again, this has been really hard.
Yeah.
There's years and years and years of policy, in some cases law, that is forced us to do things that we don't need to be doing for our soldiers.
Right. I mean, and this is exciting for our soldiers, but you mentioned the other branches. And Chris, I don't think I told you this earlier, but you remember Sarah, little 3-year-old Sarah?
Yeah.
She's an E1 in the United States Navy now. Yes.
Excellent.
So she is out on the Theodore Roosevelt out in California.
Families that serve.
Exactly. And so and I ask about the other branches because I've seen challenges with her finding the ability to be able to go and eat and stuff. And she does have, some dietary restrictions. She's still tiny. She's only 5'1" and like 110 pounds. She didn't get very, very big, but there's certain things that she likes to eat, and she doesn't always like to eat in the galley, or it's not very good. And she is living in a barracks, but she's also on a ship and wants to be able to cook for herself because she's a great cook. So I think this for our soldiers, it's a game changer. I think
and everybody's watching.
And everybody's watching.
Everybody's watching. Yeah, from the secretary on down, and again, first one's coming to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, around Christmas time, first of the year, and I am meeting with the company they're out of Charlotte. Okay. Again, they do major sports venues. They feed college campuses. I mean, they bring the scale and the professional management that we have really needed. I'm meeting with them next week, and then Chef Robert Irvine and I are going to actually go to their headquarters at some point and sit down with them to make sure they understand the importance of getting this one right for our soldiers.
Okay. Well, if you're here on Fort Bragg, make sure you stop by and say hi. I'll go.
100%.
We'll go and eat at the DFAC. How's that?
Yeah, 100%.
I like eating at the DFAC. I don't mind it.
So do I. Yeah.
So, okay, food is not the only thing you guys do. I mean, this is groundbreaking, like amazing stuff for our soldiers. But you guys have also been charged with property accountability. And I don't know exactly what that is. Like, I know I have my hand receipt for my computer and stuff like that, but I understand that there's like been a bigger issue. So, what have you guys, tell me a little bit about that program. So about a year ago, the chief, looked at us and said, hey, Chris, it is taking when I go out and talk to company commanders, it's been over a year. Yeah. Okay. When I go out and talk to company commanders and leaders at the company level, they say, hey, look, it's taken us far too long to inventory all the property that we have on our hand receipts. And our hand receipts have grown exponentially. Mm-hmm. And so I've commanded 2 companies. I know exactly what he's talking about. The fact that you think you're old? I commanded a company, back in 1993. And 94. And if you fast forward to right now, our basic process for inventorying that property has not changed. We still do manual printouts. You still have to go get your TMs from your tech manuals. Your little thing.
Yeah, that's right. But no more. We have changed that, and we did that using an innovative approach to software development. So we did the majority of the work in-house. We brought on a one of our civilian contracted partners to help us with some of the high-level coding, and we developed an application that sits on top of our authoritative system, which is G-Army, and it tells it what to do. And with that, we've fundamentally changed the way that soldiers do inventories, because now they're scanning stuff with their government device or their personal device. And the thing I'm proudest of is that the chief told us to do it. We looked at the experts, which is our non-commissioned officers, and said, "Hey, you got to figure this out." And I'll turn it over to Command Sergeant Major Sellers to talk about the process and what it actually does on the back end, and then we'll talk about actually reducing the size of hand receipts as well.
So all those things you mentioned are kind of important, right? Because they haven't changed since days of signing hand receipts. I've been a supply sergeant for about 4 or 5 companies growing up in the Army. So I really gravitated towards this when the chief said, "Hey, we got to reduce the amount of time company commanders spend on inventories so they can get back to training their soldiers." So we went down to Fort Lee at first, kind of home of the sustainment universe, and pulled in non-commissioned officers, warrant officers, and officers, say, "Hey, look, here's what we have. This is a tool to make your life simpler. Give us some feedback on how we can adjust it." And our partner that we were working with adjusted it on the spot. So this unique capability of scanning IUID codes that the Army produces through GCSS
looks
Army.
like a QR code.
Looks like a QR code, and as well as barcodes. And it will give you all the data on the piece of item equipment that's on the hand receipt. So no longer do you have to go to the hand receipt to kind of look for the NSN. It gives you that. No longer do you have to go there and look for the serial number. It gives you all that. And so when we did the first pilot trial and error against the manual way versus the property book way of accounting by electrons, it took us, we cut down the time in 50%, about 50%. So we inventoried like 70 different line items. It took us an hour and a half at Fort Lee to kind of do that process. We cut that down about 25, 30 minutes right off the bat on the first wave. And so we took it to Fort Bragg, of course. We went down to Fort Stewart, did some medical sets, kits, and outfits, and tested it out there. And then we're also doing it at Fort Hood. So big installations, big posts. We'll be able to see ourselves in terms of how we look at property accountability. One of the unique features is that you ever seen a little commercial on Lowe's that when the person runs out of a different type of a part or a tool, they put the phone up to the device, tool, and they go, "What is this?" And so it tells you what it is, right? And so it has the same features inside of what we got with Powerline. It will give you the nomenclature, the item, and we could take a picture, put it in the catalog, so the next time the next person does it on the hand receipt, they can go through and see exactly where it was. Last time it was inventoried, and it gives them all the background data that you need to have. So very, very exquisite tool. The last pilot that we just did at Fort Hood, we cut time down by 89% in a heavy BCT.
And that was the unit's data, not ours.
Okay.
We just asked them to capture how much reduction in inventory time, and it was 89% reduction in inventory time.
That is amazing. So I want to kind of understand. So like when you scan it and you get all the information, so like if I were to take my computer, scan the little barcode and everything, and then would it just assign it to me? Is there like a person that's over, like say you would be the point person, you come and scan it, and then you assign it to Jeannie D'Amico, and like now it's assigned to me, and then when I leave, it's scanned. I'm like dropped from that. Like I guess I'm curious
it's
how it all
all
works.
talking to the G-Army system. So just the way it's laid out in the company command and hand receipts is laid out automatically inside of the system.
Okay.
And so if you have an item there, it needs to go to another hand receipt, you can just simply click on it doing a drop down. And if it needs to go to another person's hand receipt, you can automatically drop down to the hand receipt it needs to go to, and then click on that, and it reassigns it to where it needs to go to. So the device, it's a device that company commanders have, their regular cell phone. They can take that one device and pass it around to each of the sub-hand receipt holders, and they can inventory all their equipment. And then, by the way, it's a dashboard that goes along with it. So the commander can monitor the progress of the hand receipts inventories as they're being done. So
that is amazing. Like that, it seems so efficient. Like what?
Yeah. I mean, it's truly, we've fundamentally changed the way we've done business for for 40 years, and we brought us into the 21st century. And the thing I'm proudest of is our non-commissioned officers are the ones that drove this. And we did this we would bring in our contractor teammates who did a wonderful job to solve really hard problems from a software coding issue, but we did it really fast. And so when we were down at Fort Stewart, the lead from the contractor company, the warrant officers and the NCOs are talking to him, and he would go on his car, and he had a Starlink terminal sitting on top of his car, and he would change the code on the application. And we did it for relatively, I call it short money compared to what a normal acquisition program, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not only changing the way we do inventory, but changing the way we do software to help us as an Army. And so in the future, we see being able to link Paraline, which is what we call it, with our next sprint that we're doing is, hey, how do we do our maintenance on our vehicles? Again, bringing it to the 21st century, but being able to link them together. So when you scan the IUID tag on your vehicle to do maintenance on it, it automatically updates your app to say, yes, this property's been accounted for. I mean, so, the upside is tremendous. And so here's where we are. So we just finished the test at Fort Hood. Again, it was a full BCT, 1st Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division. And now we're in talks with the Army about how to expand it across our divisions in the continental United States. And so we will get that solved this coming fiscal year, and then we'll start scaling it out across the rest of the Army. Again, starting with our combat formations within FORSCOM.
Okay. You guys are just pioneers of the future. Like I'm excited by the food programs, which you guys call FEED, which is the Flexible Eating and Expanded Dining program. I wanted to make sure I said that so our soldiers know what it's called. And then what you guys are doing with property accountability, and then also like accountability with the maintenance and stuff that's being done on the vehicles that our soldiers use every day.
That's next.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. Hey, the other thing that I wanted to mention was we've got another couple of programs that we're working. We've been working one of them for quite a while. The chief also said, hey, look, we got too much equipment in our units, and so do something about that. And so we set up basically yards at each one of our major installations where units could come in, clear their hand receipts, and we did a rapid turn-in of excess equipment. And we've collected millions of pieces of equipment across the Army. And then our great non-commissioned officers added another layer to it and said, okay, now we need to go after all the stuff that we've carried around from post to post to post. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I remember that turn-in. Whew.
Yeah, and so we've gone after that as well.
Yeah. So I would tell you that, you mentioned all the great things we're doing. I have to give a shout out to, it's been a team of efforts, right? FORSCOM, our team at AMC, our staff that enables it, and then, of course, our officer corps that really allow us to kind of do some of this from an NCO perspective because we can really get down to the point of need. But, all that OCIE, I really took that personal because I know that people, are carrying around excess helmets. And by the way, if you listen to this and you have some excess helmets, please turn them in. We've got about 99,293 excess helmets in the Army.
But who's counting?
But who's
we have
counting?
to get turned back in, right? But, the way that we're able to do retained issue is kind of what it's called, to where soldiers don't have to turn in equipment any longer once they PCS from a duty station. They can carry that equipment around the life cycle of their career and not having to turn it in. And so we started out those pilots there at like Fort Sill, some of the different TRADOC installations. We did one at Fort Bragg so we can actually see how the magnitude of getting it turned in would be on our CIFs. And then we've been working with our Army G4 here in the Pentagon, and they put out an ALAREC message a couple months ago which said, hey, these are all the items that are in the life that soldiers no longer need any longer.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it, right? 88 pages worth of equipment that we can kind of turn in and unburden the soldiers.
I still had ACE. What do you call them?
The ACs?
The flame resistant.
The woodland.
Flame resistant. From when I was a battalion commander, when we worked together, Jeannie, that were still on my hand receipt.
Oh my gosh!
And we've been dragging them around for post to post to post. That's all gone.
That was 15
All that
years
stuff
ago.
is out there hand received. They don't have to worry
A
about
long
it any
time
longer.
ago.
They can
Yeah.
just discard that stuff.
Wow.
So,
Yep. So the whole
Exciting
idea
stuff.
is that we're reducing the time it takes to inventory. We're reducing the amount of stuff that you have to inventory, making it easier for squad leaders. We've got data involved in it as well. We've got a new system that we rolled out called SEAM, and all to give company commanders and first sergeants more time to train their soldiers.
I love it. I love it. This, guys, this has been such a great conversation. Like, I've really had a blast today. And it seems like the Army is listening to what the soldiers are saying and what they want in their everyday lives. It's going to make them more efficient. And, you know, those combat ready soldiers, that's what FORSCOM does. So I'm glad the Army is listening. You guys are changing at a very, very rapid pace. And I love it. I'm excited for the future and what you guys are going to do over there at AMC. So do you have any final thoughts before I let you go for the day?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, hey, I thank you for doing this for us, and kind of getting the word out. So you mentioned, what FORSCOM does, and I think it's all about that, right? War fighting and our ability to kind of deliver ready combat formation and then enhance the soldier experience. That enables us to focus on war fighting a lot better and more, right? Giving time back to soldiers, who giving time back to their families so they can take care of them on installations. All of that is very important so that we can have a trained and ready Army.
Yeah, and I'll say that, look, we have wonderful partners in FORSCOM. And I like to say that where FORSCOM goes, the Army goes. And so we're shoulder to shoulder with FORSCOM on delivering. And so the chief is tasked us with several things. We talked a lot about enhancing the soldier experience. But the other one that's a major part of what we do is delivering ready combat formations. And we'd love to come back at some point and talk about how we're changing the way that we use our artisans and our depots, arsenals, and plants to enhance the combat readiness of our brigades who are going into the fight. And so we're really proud of that program as well. But again, Jeannie, it's great to see you, and thanks so much for giving us this opportunity.
Absolutely. So thank you, General Mohan and Sergeant Major Sellers, for joining me today. It's been a great conversation, and I hope to have you on again sometime and for some updates on all these programs. So until next time, we'll see you on the front line.